What's going on, guys? My name is Ryan. Thank you guys for clicking on this video. Today we'll be talking about Absolution, which I did see yesterday, but I thought, I'm on break at work. Let's talk about Absolution. And if you haven't heard of this movie, you're not alone, because I honestly did not hear of this movie until last week when I was looking at new releases. Saw that Liam Neeson had a new movie coming out, and this was the movie. And I did watch a trailer, and I was like, I don't really know about this. Mainly because Liam Neeson, he really hasn't made really good movies as of late. I would say like the last 6 or 7, they really haven't been anything to write home about. So I really wasn't looking forward to this movie. Now, this movie is about Liam Neeson's character. His name is Thug in here. He doesn't really have a real name. He's an ex-boxer, and he's also part of this organization in which they are sex trafficking women and also smuggling drugs as well. And his boss is Perlman, and he works with his son. He also is trying to reconnect with his family here because he hasn't been a good father throughout his life. He's trying to reconnect with his son, his daughter, and he's also finding love in this film as well. He meets up with this one woman that is having trouble, and they start to form a relationship. So you have kind of all these things kind of going on at once. From a standpoint of positives, I do like the fact that we have Liam Neeson here trying to reconnect with his family. This is very much a character study movie, and there is a lot of details in this film. It's a very busy film. Though it is a slow burn film, it's not his typical movies where he has all this bang bang shoot 'em up action. It's not that kind of movie. There is a few scenes like that in the movie, but honestly it's very few and far between, unfortunately. So if you're looking for action in this film, it is very minimal. And I think a lot of people are going to have a problem with the runtime here because it is 2 hours and there's just a lot of information kind of being thrown at you. There's some artistic kind of vision that this director has. He is a foreign director, so he's actually directed a lot of foreign films, so I've never heard of any of his previous works, but you can really tell that he's trying to inject his style in this film. Specifically, there is a one dream sequence that they have over and over where they talk about his father, and he's in the sequence where he's kind of drowning, which I really think is really representing his life because he's having some health problems as well in this film. He's just juggling so much as a character. And I thought from a strong point of this film, I do think that because it has a very strong character study and there's a lot of things going on, I do think that's the strength of this movie. Now, from a negative standpoint, I did say that it is a slower burn film and it doesn't have a lot of action. I do think that some of the questionable decisions with some of the characters, they could have been fleshed out a little bit more. I do think that Liam Neeson has a little bit too much that they added in the story. For instance, I really don't think he needs to be a gangster here. I think it would have been a fine enough movie if he just was reconnecting with his family. I mean, you could have said that he had some other kind of background that really kept him away from his family, but I don't really think he needed to work for a crime boss here because there is some moments within that whole crime boss that he's working for in which there are certain events that do occur and certain situations that Liam Neeson has to face in which he's trying to be a better person. So you see those kinds of moments in which I really did enjoy about the film, but at the same time, this was kind of a slog to get through at the same time. On one point, I'm kind of conflicted because I do think this is kind of better than some of his recent movies. But on another point, I don't really think it works all the way for me. And I think that's kind of the problem with this movie is I wanted a little bit more from it. I think because there is not as much action, I think that kind of hurts it just a little bit. But then again, even though it has the family aspect and him really trying to rekindle this family, there are a lot of moments within the family in which you see some positive types of things with him and his family. And I really did enjoy that aspect of it. I enjoyed the love romance that he has with this woman played by Yolonda Ross. He meets her at a bar after her boyfriend is drunk and she is getting beat up by this boyfriend. He beats him up, and then they start this romantic relationship. Though I will say with that, there is one awkward scene in which they have this kissing scene, and it's almost like Liam Neeson forgot how to kiss. It was kind of a weird, awkward moment. I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen Liam Neeson really involved with any romantic relationships too much in his movies. He usually has some like brief little moments, but with this one, it was a very sexual kind of relationship. though there isn't nudity or anything in this movie. But the fact that we had this kiss scene going on, and it seemed like he hadn't been kissing women in years, it was a very awkward scene, and it very much put me off. From a cinematography standpoint, I didn't really think it was that strong at points. There was definitely some points where I noticed that it was a little bit green screen and it looked kind of cheap. Now, this takes place in Boston, so I'm not sure if they filmed it in that area. There was like a lighthouse type of vibe that they had where he lived near a lighthouse and it was near the ocean, so to speak. And I like that, but it didn't feel like it was authentic. It felt kind of cheap. I think some of the camera that they used, it wasn't the strongest camera lens and what they were using. And it was only on certain parts, mainly when he was like in his house and he was looking outside. I thought those weren't the strongest points of the film. I definitely think they could have had a little bit better cinematography and just used a different kind of lens. If they would have done that, I think that it would have been a little bit better within the cinematography aspect. Also, too, there really isn't a lot of music in this. I mean, it's very subtle, very low if there is any music. So because there isn't much of a score, it's a very quiet movie. So when it really comes down to it from a score perspective, I think I'm going to give this one a 2.5 out of 5. I kind of was leaning on 2 out of 5, but then I really thought about it and I was thinking, well, a lot of his other movies have been really bad and very much unwatchable. This one entertained me to a point. Yeah, I wanted a little bit more. It was kind of slow and kind of sluggish, but at the same time, I really did enjoy the character study aspect. So 2.5 out of 5 is what I'm going to go with this movie. Have you guys seen this movie? If you have, let me know down in the comments. What did you guys think of this movie? And if you haven't, are you going to check it out in a theater or are you going to wait for streaming? And let me know down in the comments, what are your top favorite Liam Neeson movies? Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.